Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you are all having a great start to your month. I can't believe it's already February. I feel like January just flew by. So I actually had a really good reading month in January, and I'll be posting my wrap up soon. I read 10 books, which is actually a ton for me just because I'm so busy and I'm also not the fastest reader. But I read 10 books, so I'm so happy about that. And I read some really, really good books that I can't wait to talk about. But today I'm going to be talking about my TBR. But before we get into the video, I do want to make a few announcements. I will be hosting a live show on my channel on February 7th with Rain from Brews and Binds, McKay from McKay's Book Club, Deja from Deja's Book World, and Sarah from Sarah's Shelves, and I'll have all their information in the description box below. But we'll be talking about Confessions by Kanae Minato, and our live show will be at 12 p.m. CST. So it'll be a little bit earlier in the day for us, actually at night for McKay because he is in Southeast Asia. But we will be discussing this novel. I read it and I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. It was so good. And it's a thriller novel, but also it has some horrifying elements, so I kind of consider it a thriller horror novel. And since this month is celebrating women in horror, it's a perfect time to read the book. I would highly recommend it, and it's such a good book. It's about a teacher who's giving her last lecture at a middle school, and her daughter was tragically murdered. And as she's speaking, she ends by saying, 2 of you in this classroom are responsible for the murder of my child. And it just takes off from there. I don't want to spoil anything. I just want to leave it at that. But wow, it is such a ride, and it was very, very well written. And I would absolutely highly recommend you to read this book. And I don't think it was very long. I listened to it, but I would push you to read this book because it is so good, and wow, it was a ride. I also want to say I will be participating in a readathon, and it is the Ariana Grande's readathon. The actual title is Our Love for Ariana is Grande, and it takes place between February 16th through the 26th, and it's hosted by Haley Hughes, Braden at Braden Eugene Author, and Carol from Carol T. Reads. Again, everybody I mentioned in this video I will have in the description box below, but I'm so excited. I love Ariana Grande. I specifically love her Positions album, but I love a lot of her other albums as well. I think Thank You Next is my second favorite, but I also really like some songs from Dangerous Woman. Anyway, tangent, but I will share the prompts with you, and they are such creative, fun prompts. They're all based on each one of her albums. So let me grab my laptop right here. So the first one is Yours Truly, read a debut novel. The second one is My Everything, read a sad book. The third one is Dangerous Woman, read a thrilling book and or a book with a strong female main character. Thank You Next, read a book that's out of your comfort zone or that you think you won't like. Sweetener, read a light and fluffy book. And Positions, read a steamy book. So I don't know what I'll read for the last 2 prompts because I'm not really a romance reader, and also I don't really read anything light and fluffy. So that's to be determined. But I wanted to share with you what I'll be reading for the other prompts. So for the first one, read a debut novel, I'm going to be reading Girl A by Abigail Dean. This is actually the book of the month pick for me, and it hasn't arrived in the mail yet, but I am so excited to receive it. So on Goodreads, it says this is for readers of Room and Sharp Objects, a propulsive and psychologically immersive novel about a young girl who escapes captivity, but not the secrets that shadow the rest of her life. So this sounds really amazing. I love sharp objects, and I'm just excited to read a debut novel and learn about another writer, and I'm just really excited for this book. So for the next prompt, I want to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I actually have it right here. Of course, this is by V.E. Schwab. Everybody has read this. I have not yet. And also, this is going to double as my reading a book that's a little bit out of my comfort zone. This will double as that, or if I have time, I will read A Little Life. This book is actually pretty long though, and Addie is a little bit longer as well, so we'll see. But I'm excited to read outside of the genre that I usually read in, and I think this readathon is a perfect chance for that. For the Dangerous Woman prompt, I'm going to be reading Grande by Tiffany D. Jackson. And let me grab this right over here. So I was going to read this last month, but I didn't get to it. So I'm going to definitely read it this month because also this is going to be the group book for the readathon and there will be a live show for it. So I'm really excited to hear them all discuss it. They're such cool creators and I can't wait to hear their thoughts on this book. But I will definitely be reading this month. This book is inspired by the R. Kelly situation and is about a young woman being in a relationship that is bad and manipulative, and apparently it's just a really impactful book. On the back of the book it says, Grande asks hard questions about power, innocence, and who we are as a society deemed worth saving. A captivating and cautionary page turner. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. So it is Women in Horror Month, and we're celebrating all the wonderful women in horror, and I'm so excited about this. I actually made a TBR of horror novels / some of them are actually thrillers. I didn't realize that at the time, but horror novels that are written by women, and I've read some of them and loved them, and I want to read some of the other ones this month as well. So to kick that off, I want to talk about The Devil of Nanking. And I just started it, and look at my bookmark. It's so, so cute. Love this. I'll put the shop's information in the description box. But this novel is about a woman who travels to Japan in search for this footage of something horrible that happened during the Nanking massacres. And she also meets this man, and he seems like he may be interested in her, but he may have some sinister intentions. So this book is really captivating already. I read the opening scene in it, and it is gory, which I was kind of expecting, but I wasn't expecting it to be gory right away. So it's a really good start. It's very captivating. I can't talk. It's very captivating, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Care from Caroline Johnson also mentioned that this book is really good, and I really love her book suggestions, so I knew I had to pick it up. The next book I want to talk about is Brother by Anya Alborn. I have it actually on my Kindle. I just got a Kindle and I'm really liking it so far. But this is another horror novel written by a woman. I've heard great things about Anya Alborn's writing, and I'm actually going to be buddy reading this with Katrina at Katrina Brown from YouTube. And I'm really excited. She's such a cool creator. So I can't wait to dive into this book and have some cool conversations with her. This is also, if you don't know what it's about a family of serial killers, and one of the brothers decides he really doesn't like this way of life. And that's all I know about it, but I'm really excited. It sounds really interesting. So for the last category, which is just general other books I want to get to, I have The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchison. This is about a group of women who are being held captive, and one of them escapes, and you kind of hear the story through her eyes. It's apparently very well written, very disturbing, and makes an impact on people, so I am very excited to jump into it. I've been wanting to read this book for a while now, but I decided this is the month to read it. I just really feel like reading it this month, so I'm excited to read it. The next book I want to read is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and I mentioned this in the 21 books I want to read in 2021. This will be my first Ruth Ware book, and I'm really excited to see what I think of her work, and I'm excited. This setting sounds amazing. It sounds like a very gothic-y setting, and it's about a nanny, and technology apparently is quite involved in this, and I'm just really excited to read it. Honestly, this beautiful cover is really drawing me in as well, and I just can't wait to get to it. The last book I want to talk about is The Troop by Nick Cutter, and I am going to buddy read this with Rita, and her channel is Life Worth Reading here on YouTube, and this is about a group of boys going on a camping trip, and then a stranger stumbles by them, and he's infested with something. So there's an infection spreading, which honestly, maybe not the best time to read this book because of COVID, but I've committed to it and I've just heard such great things. There's a lot of body horror, so I have to prepare myself for that, make sure I'm not eating, but I'm really excited to read this book and see what all the hype is about. The next book I want to talk about is called Switch House, and I heard Erin over at Erin Megan here on YouTube talk about it in her video, and it really just sounded so cool. So the concept is about this family where they switched houses with someone, and the couple is coming home, but when they get home to their house, it's kind of in ruins and something feels off, and they start having very vivid dreams, and it just sounds like a really creepy haunted house slash just psychological suspense book. So I'm really excited to read it, and it's a pretty short book. I think it's only like 200 pages. So sometimes I love throwing in some short books just so I feel like really accomplished that I can add another book to my book count. Even though, let's be real, book count, you know, it's not as important as some people feel. If you read 3 books versus 20 books, you're still a reader, right? But I do like, you know, reading more books some months and getting to experience more stories. So that's it for this video. I hope you all have a wonderful February, and I can't wait to talk to you in my next video where I share my January wrap up. Bye.